The Marshall Islands. You know, like all the... I don't. I'm not grasping why on Earth nuclear weapons, if they are real, which that's the whole. Most of the world believes they're real. I don't know. I mean, bombs are bombs no matter what. But there's like an element to the radioactive bomb that's much more frightening because, like, if the bomb doesn't kill you, you'll become sick forever and ever, and you'll die, and it'll be horrible. Your skin will be falling, etc. Blah blah blah. Depending on how close you are to the blast, So of course, this mega fear of these nuclear blasts. But for those who don't believe in nuclear bomb, I mean, do you think that? I mean, I don't know. To me, I'm pretty convinced that certain types of radiation is wildly dangerous. I'm convinced of that. Maybe I'm convinced of that because it's a program, but I think that it's true because, I mean, we get burnt up by the sun. Well, maybe that's not the radiation part of the sun, Karen. Maybe it's just the heat. Maybe, I don't know. They're saying it's certain kind of rays or radiation, radiation. I'm not a scientist per se. I'm not way into it. But I'm just saying why? Why in the world? Does this ever sound like a great idea to anyone? Has the average person or like the leaders of every country in the world never thought to themselves, gee, why don't we have a little get together and say, why don't we stop bickering before we blow the fucking place up? Now, you know why that doesn't happen? Because they're not like us. I don't believe that they're human. I mean, the higher levels. I think that we're able to procreate with them somehow. Obviously, it's happening. At times. But I think we're a different species than them because, unless, of course, the theory that Not Your Fucking Guru's got going, which is like we're all AI and we're all at a different level of deterioration, I guess you'd call it, which is a really creeped out and horrible thought on one hand, because that means all of our spiritual feelings and depth of thought, is it made up? Is it like it's not real because we're machines? Like, oh, this whole philosophy on trying to figure life out is like, no. And then you've got the let's just rest in the Bible, let's just say it's this and the other. And I mean, I don't believe in a globe. I mean, you all know, then you watch me to know that I don't believe that it's a globe. I was team flat for a long time. And of course, saying that does not mean that I agree with the Flat Earth Society, which is some crazy group that thinks the Earth is moving upward at a steady pace, thus creating the gravity. No, I don't believe any of that stuff. I just think we're stationary to a large degree. I mean, I don't know. And I do believe we're in a crater. I'm down for the crater Earth theory at this point, which is flat-ish, which to me does not counter anything that Scripture's saying. It just doesn't. To me, it doesn't, because, we can all interpret this, that, and the other. And Lord knows they've interpreted it hundreds of times before we ever got the word. So who knows how much of this is accurate anyway. But clearly we're not on an Earth-sized globe that they're telling us we're on. The crater Earth theory has us on this globe that's so enormous you can't even imagine how enormous it is. Therefore, the Earth is flat, basically, the crater. So I'm like, yeah, I'm down with that. Because it's crazy. The stuff I looked at on this Crater Earth channel. Anyway, the guy's like, I forget his name. I can link him. But the nuclear thing. Come on, stop. What is it? Like, why would you want to do that? Anywhere. Why did they set off all those bombs over the Marshall Islands? They're not 1, 2, or 3. Hundreds? Have you seen these people and how they've explained how these bombs have affected them? And everybody's like, no, it wasn't radiation. Well, maybe it was something else, and they're saying it's radiation. Maybe it's something else that they can inject into our systems in other ways. But they were like, well, let's make all these people believe that it was coming from nuclear bombs. And that way, they'll be afraid of nuclear bombs, but they'll have no idea that we're really doing this exact poisoning to them in this other way, like putting it in the water, or spraying it in the sky, or putting it in the food and small, or putting it on the schedule for the infants to get arm tickets. Or the old people, the elderly people. Oh, you need your FML. Ooh. Shit shot. Every year. I don't know. Whoa, is nuclear? I mean, I don't know, man. Nuclear, is it real? Is it fake? What's it? I think it's fucked up. I mean, they radiated my mother's neck when I was growing up, burnt the fuck out of me. They drew all kind of lines, and I was like, radiation, after that chemo, her nearly to fucking death, nearly to death, after slicing her neck open and claiming that this tumor was spirally wrapped around her saliva gland and her lymph node. They said it was Roundup. 40 years ago. So I'm like, I don't know. And then, like, right after Fukushima, all these young people started dying of heart attacks. And my son's father said it's cesium-137. The body sees it and thinks it's calcium because it's so similar, and it uptakes it into the calcium sites and into the heart, and then kapadosh. And I'm going, oh, well, that doesn't sound very pleasant. He's like, it's not. He was the Fukushima guru. I'm telling you, man, this guy had followers out there. Anyway, he had a lot of people, and then I guess he couldn't. He had Bobby One's blog, and then it was he was in touch with the people that were up there in the anti-nuclear. They all know him, you know. And anyway, Kevin Blanche. Has anybody heard of Kevin Blanche? Kevin Blanche, man. Yeah, I was so crazy. We picked him up and had him spend the night at our house. He was a very pleasant house guest, but I think he was out of his mind. I think he's an insane, like really radical, bizarro creature. But he was a very pleasant house guest, very quiet, very clean. He was there, he was in, he was out, and he was pleasant. I remember I had an old YouTube channel. I got to find it. I have to link a video that was made in my kitchen with Kevin Blanche and about cancer and different things like that because he had cancer. He grew up in Utah and claims that the radioactive testing that they did there gave his father cancer, killed him, and then later, gave him cancer through his father's genetic mutations or whatever. It says he's really crazy. He's really smart, but he's really crazy too. Anyway, yeah, he was like, I thought he was one of the guys, something like Dana Dumford too in Canada, that was anti-nuclear and Fukushima's fucking the world up and it's the death of the Pacific Ocean and all this. I was in it, man. I was in it, man. I got drug in there by my son's father and his California girlfriend, Jill Clarkson, who I flew to California, got in her car, and drove across the country. Her car broke down immediately in Utah. But anyway, yeah, the salt flats, what a trip that was. And used my son's savings account to we rented one of those little cars what the frick were they called? The Kia Soul with the hamsters. It was back in the day. It was back then. It was 10 years ago. Man, we bumped across the country in a Kia Soul to Tupac, man, because I had had my little, what were they called? They have the MP3s on the music thing. We plugged it right into the system. Man, we was bumping, man. We was bumping. Anyway, we bumped all the way across the United States in that freaking Kia Soul. Hardest thing I think I ever did. But at any rate, learned about the Gerson therapy with this chick, and that's how I learned about the coffee enemas only. But we were riding, and we were in a restaurant. We stopped to eat, and I was eating this soup, and this was directly after Fukushima, and my mouth blistered. It felt like it was burning, and she said, spit it out. We were at like a Shoney's or something, some Denny's or something. It was unbelievable. And I got little scabs all the way, and my face, and we ran to the hotel. We ran to a hotel as fast as we could. She dumped baking soda and Epsom salts in hot water and dunked me under the water, and my whole face, my chest would be, every time I would do this bath where I would soak, it would come forth. Dude, I don't know what it was. What the fuck was that? And this went on for months, but it would decrease every time I would do. She said, you got hit with a hot toddy. That's what she called it. It was a radioactive piece of shit. Then she was immediately making me a coffee enema as I was soaking. We hung that up. She examined my stool and said, there it is. You got it out. It was a piece of carrot. I mean, is she crazy? I don't know, but I'll tell you what. It was a rash that would form on my face, that would rise to the surface when I would go underwater. I'd hold my nose and I'd get in the baking soda, Epsom salt bath. This went on for a long time, about a year or so, and then it stopped. When I would soak, it wouldn't happen anymore. Do I know what it was? Nope, but I assure you it happened. That's what happened to me right after Fukushima. So it was 2011. Was it 2011? Was that Fukushima? Or was it yeah. Yep, it was March 11th, 2011. I remember, because my son was 11. And then he immediately came down with Tourette's. which they were all saying, it's radiation, it's radiation. I think it was fucking fear. Anyway, and that was a long journey, that one. Yeah. Anyway, radioactivity. Like, there's so many different isotopes, right? How many are there that are dangerous? Are there any dangerous? Are there some dangerous? What was that was in my mouth? What was that was surfacing on my body when I started, anyways, little scabs all the way around my freaking mouth. From putting, I was like, it was quite frightening. And then as it went down, it burned all the way. She's like, oh my God, we should make you vomit. And I'm like, I hate vomiting. She's like, it's good, it's radioactive. You got to get it out of here. And I'm like, ah. And we jumped in the car and her van. No, her car. No, we had the Kia Soul at that point. And we rode to the hotel and so we could get me in the tub. And we did it. Anyway, God, I talked too long and I repeated myself. Anyway, but just these memories are coming flying back. Let's have a great day, YouTube. It's weird, ain't it? What does everybody know about radioactive isotopes? I remember Pirate Pete used to follow me a long time ago, and he's like, nah, it's all fake, Aaron, it's all fake. I haven't seen him in a long time. He's in Canada. And he wanted me to follow him. BitChute is so hard to I can't understand how to work that friggin' thing. So it's just kind of like I see a couple videos on BitChute every now and then, but I'm like, I don't know how to look at somebody's channel. It's so user unfriendly. So I kind of lost Pirate Pete, but he was like, nah, it's not real, Karen. I'm like, well, then what is causing these? It must be, I don't know, I'm just wondering. Just wondering. Miss you, Pirate Pete. We used to have a lot of laughs. All right.